absolute racist shit that happened last week that was absolutely ridiculous. But you got to laugh at it. Like, you have to laugh at it because it's literally might be one of the most ridiculous things I have ever heard. Brian, you probably know where I'm going on this.
I think I know where you're going.
I thought this was absolutely, positively ridiculous. And I've had so many conversations with people about this. So if you were under a rock, maybe you didn't hear about this, but I'm glad to make sure you know about this story. All right? There was a play-by-play announcer who was on air. They were going to the anthem, so they thought they were off. And for some people who don't know, if you notice, the audio on this, which came out, wasn't that great, and I can explain to you guys why. When you're doing play-by-play, many people have a headset like what Brian has on. Your producer, if they're good, should cut that off. However, on a lot of play-by-play broadcasts, no matter what you watch, there's usually a mic that sticks out towards the crowd so you can pick up the ambient noise from the court, especially in basketball, football, whatever the sport may be. That mic was still on, all right? Announcer, his name is Matt Rowan. He was a play-by-play guy, and it was a girls' basketball playoff game. This was in Oklahoma, I believe. Yeah, Oklahoma. And one of the girls' teams that appeared to have a lot of people of color on the team, especially black women on the team, they decided to take a knee during the national anthem. And that upset Mike Rowan. He said that he hoped they lose, and he called them effing N-words. Yes, he said that. And in the moment of hearing this and watching this video, I mean, I'm a black man in America. I wasn't like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that, and didn't think that his mic might be on or that anybody would check him. But that's why he said it, because he thought nobody would check him. And you know what his co-host did, his partner did? He didn't say a thing. He just let it go silent, which is only two things I could think of. He knew that this is how this Matt Rowan usually talks, and this is just commonplace for him, or he just didn't really care to ever challenge him because of the first part, that this is how he normally talks. But that's not the funny part, people. This isn't what's funny. Of course this came out because we're in the internet age, and this was being live streamed. Somebody decided to take the live stream, put it on Twitter, and put it out there. And you can hear exactly what he said. And for me, I was absolutely disturbed that his color commentator said nothing about this. Just let it rock and kept going. And personally, for me in the moment, I also said, this is kind of ironic. The reason the girls are kneeling is because of people like you. That's why they're taking the knee. They're protesting the racism and injustice they see, that even a play-by-play announcer who's a white male could sit there and call somebody a racial slur and curse at them and say that they hope that they lose, which is all the stuff that he said. But again, folks, racism is never funny. But here's what's funny. Excuses for racism. That's funny. It's hilarious. Sometimes you'll get people like Myers Leonard who say he didn't know and give you his typical apology, and he's got to go talk to the Anti-Defamation League to learn why a word might be hurtful that I find a hard time believing that he didn't know. But what was funny was Mr. Matt Rowan, who had an apology. And Brian, he decided to put out a press release. And I want to read the press release because I think it's hilarious. I, Matt Rowan, on Thursday, March 11, 2021, most regrettably made some statements that cannot be taken back. You think? During the Norman High School girls basketball game against Midwest City, I made inappropriate and racist comments believing that the microphone was off. Which, let's pause right there.
So it was okay
if the microphone wasn't on? like, yo, this is where you gotta laugh at it. So if the microphone was on, it would have been cool? Okay, all right, cool. However, let me state immediately that is no excuse. Such comments should never have been uttered. Okay, well, if that was the case, you're not making an excuse. Why even bring that up? If it's not an excuse, why bring it up? Then here comes the common rules of making an apology when it comes to saying something racist, sexist, or in any kinds of isms or ists that we'll have out there. I am a family man. As a family man out there, have never been racist.
Yo, you've heard my theory about God family football people.
Well, they probably say things like Matt Rowan. I might go out on a limb and say that. I am married. I have 2 children, and at one time I was a youth pastor. I continue to be a member of a Baptist church because family basketball in this case, Brian, and religion definitely stopped you from doing stuff racism. Do we know that the most racist and most heinous things in the world have actually been done in the name of religion? Like people justified slavery with religion.
We've had wars
over religion.
And still are in some of them. You know what I mean? By the way, not anti-religion up here, but the way it's weaponized, yeah, there are issues with
I'm
that.
against that.
That's a different story.
I've not only embarrassed and disappointed myself, I've embarrassed and disappointed my friends, my family and friends. I will state, and here's the funny part, people, I will state that I suffered type 1 diabetes. During the game, my sugar was spiking. While not excusing my remarks, it is not unusual when my sugar spikes that I become disoriented and often say things that are not appropriate as well as hurtful. I do not believe that I would have made such horrible statements absent my sugar spiking. Really?
Bro, it's only type 1, bro. Like I know diabetes is bad and shit, but there's more, stages to diabetes that would make your sugar spike even more. Like he couldn't even give us I got type 3 or whatever.
That doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. You know, I know people who have diabetes. I have loved ones who have diabetes. Diabetes has never made them say anything racist. And then here's the other problem. All right, let's take your theory as being true. Your sugar spiked, and then you said some racist shit. But the rest of the game, you were able to go on without saying that racist shit. So the sugar only spiked at one time, and then you were fine for the rest of the game to call the rest of the game? Come on, son. That's some nonsense. And who put this press release together? Who was the person that said this was okay and didn't think this was some dumb shit that we were going to buy? Like, yeah, now we're linking racism to diabetes? This had to be so serious that people, like groups and stuff who study diabetes, who do diabetes care, to come out and say this is not a known cause of diabetes. Like the fact that we have to come out and say this. Yo, this is what I'll say on this. Hey, the racists got to stop tripping. Y'all just be desperate to say anything. Just own your racism. Just say, hey, I was racist. Don't talk about because you thought the mic wasn't on. Yeah, we know you probably say this anyway. Mr. Family Man, Mr. I go to Baptist church. And anybody who knows me, I'm not all about the cancel culture. But here's what I think we need to cancel. The bullshit. Stop these nonsense excuses. Stop these nonsense press releases. Who's buying the diabetes? Who's buying this? Are you serious? Look, for all you folks out there who think we live in a post-racial society, it doesn't integrate sports, and it doesn't integrate anything else, case in point. Case in point.
And weren't these girls in high school?
Oh, shout out to the young ladies of the Norman High School girls basketball team, because they had a lot of attention come around this. And you know what they still did in the face of all this? They still went out and won a championship. So you know what they said to you, Matt Rowan? That's a big F you to you. You talking about F them for kneeling. They were like, no, we just out here winning. Despite that. And also kudos to them. The next day when they came for their next game, because they won that game, when they came out for the next game, they wore shirts that said, this is why we kneel. I support those sisters.